Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Tracy from the Resume Workshop, and I am a professional resume writer, career branding strategist, and an accomplishment coach. That means I make things happen for my clients. And today I'm going to talk about how to rise to the top, whether it's in your career or if it's in an entrepreneurial endeavor that you seek, how to get there through your resume. Your resume is the beginning. And how do you start out? How do you start out? You have to start out with your brand, with the brand that you want to fill in the job posting that an employer has available. So it all starts with your brand. I am my brand. The resume workshop, that means I do resumes and I do workshops. So that is a part of my brand. It's synonymous to my brand, but it doesn't stop there. My brand is also on my business cards, my website, my license plate on my car. Everything leads to the resume workshop and what it is that I do. Now, when you are actively seeking a job, you have to think of yourself as a brand. And what is your brand? Your brand would actually be to fulfill the position that the employer has opened, and that opening is branded by that company. It's branded by that company. And how does it start with the brand, with the position? It starts all in the job title of the position. That's the brand for that position, and you want to apply to that brand, and you want your brand to match the brand of the position that is open. So it's all about branding, all about branding. So when we talk about branding, let's talk about it. Okay, so if you look at some of the famous brands, like Oprah's a brand, Michael Jordan is a brand, Prince is no longer here, but Prince was his own brand. At one point, Prince was just a symbol. At one point, everyone knew of the song Purple Rain. That was a part of Prince's brand. It's all about branding. Campbell's soup has a brand. You look at the can, you don't even have to know that it's Campbell's soup to know that it's Campbell's soup. The Verizon check mark is its brand. You see that check mark. You don't even have to see the words to know that that is Verizon's brand. Similar to Google. Sometimes Google, when you go to their page, they don't even have the word spelled out. They have different symbols of what the word Google is, and you automatically know that that is Google. That's part of Google's brand to every day or periodically change what that looks like. You look at Pinterest. If you looked at just the P in Pinterest, you automatically know that that's Pinterest, likened to if you saw the F and the colors that go along with F. For Facebook, you know that that's Facebook. Let's see, YouTube. You see the YouTube symbol, you automatically can relate to YouTube, and that is YouTube's brand. And then you have McDonald's French fries. You don't even have to see the word McDonald's, but you look at that red box and you look at the inside, and it has red and white, yellow and white stripes, and it has French fries in it. You automatically know that that is part of McDonald's French fries. So all about the brand. So today I'm just going to touch briefly on branding yourself for your next job opportunity. And the way that you do that is in 4 areas. Anyone that is in a serious, I mean serious job search, you need 4 items. You need a resume, cover letter, thank you letter, and reference sheet. And if you're really serious, you need to be in 4 areas of social media, and those 4 areas are LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Okay, so before you can even begin a job search, you should plan out your schedule, plan out a strategy to be able to find the job that you want or the career that you want. If you just want to make moves within the company, you still have to plan a strategy. Just don't go to the job system and start applying to jobs. Just don't go to don't go to CareerBuilder or Monster.com or Indeed.com and start applying jobs. Have a strategy, make a plan. If you're unemployed, you may set a schedule for the entire day. 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 3, as though you were going to work. But if you are working, then you can set a schedule for yourself at night of when you'll do that job search, and also make sure that you have all of the products and services that you need in order to fulfill the job that you're looking for. So with that said, let's start out with the resume. If you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm looking at some of my notes. Okay, so let's see. So with the resume, you probably know that there are 4 different types of resumes, and if you didn't, there are 4 different types of resumes, and each one of them have a different purpose. I'm not going to go into the totality of what each one is for, but you have the chronological, and that's the one that everyone, for the most people use. That's the one that's most often used. Then you have the functional, and that highlights your skills. Then there is a hybrid, that is a cross between the functional and the chronological. And then you have a CV, a curriculum vitae, and that is one that is used by researchers, educators, and in other countries. But today I'm just going to talk about and give a little breakdown of the chronological resume. The chronological resume, just like all other resumes, your name goes up top, your target position goes up at the top of your resume. Your education can go up at the top of your resume, or it can go further down depending upon what the job posting is asking for. So you're always going to look to match your resume against the job posting that you want to apply to. And then you want to tailor the resume that you will use for that position. And so this will start the tailoring. Okay, so you start with the name, you start with your contact information, your city, state, zip, not your full address. Your full address is not needed on a resume because you have not been hired yet. Make sure that you add your contact voice, telephone number, voice, not cell, voice, and only add one number. And then please ensure that your LinkedIn profile link is a part of your contact information. And while you're doing that, run on over to LinkedIn and make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to date and on point, because employers will look at your profile. Employers will do 2 things. They will look at your social media, and they will Google you. So you want to Google yourself to know exactly what it is that they will see. You want to know what they will see, and if there is something that in there in Google that is not so great about you, you might want to petition Google to have that information removed. And how do you do that? Just a little tip. You go down to the bottom of the page of where you put your name in. You go down to the bottom of the page, and there should be a way to contact Google there. Many people don't know that, but that is the case. So then you have your contact information. Make sure that you add the job title of the position that you're applying to. That is a keyword. You also want to put down some of your skills, your transferable skills, and also what is known as your core competencies. And all of that information will be found in the job posting. So don't just look at a job posting and say, I can do that job. No, it gets much deeper than that. That could have been the way it was back in the day, but today you need to seriously scrutinize the job posting. You need to look at the job posting and try to relate to the fact that you should be at the very least, you should be about an 80% match for the position before you start to modify your resume. And if you're not at least an 80% match for the position, my strong suggestion is that you do not apply for that position. You'll be wasting your time. Your resume will be uploaded or put into what is known as an applicant tracking system. That applicant tracking system is looking to do two things. It's looking to either include you as a candidate or exclude you as a candidate. And if you don't modify your resume to fit the position, you're automatically excluded by the applicant tracking system before a human even attempts to see it. It will never get seen. Or it's looking to include you, but it's looking to include those that actually went through the job posting, pulled out where they are a match for, and modified their resume according to the position, looked and saw that they did that probably within 80% range, and then you have a better chance of even being canvassed by a recruiter or a hiring manager. But if you don't modify and you are using one resume to apply to multiple positions, chances of you getting a call back are near zero. And you won't know why, but this is why. If you're not modifying your resume to fit every single position, you're not in the running. You can say that you've wasted your time in applying. So modify. Now, there is one way to get around the applicant tracking system that I'm aware of. One way, and that is through your network. If your network is strong and you could put your resume in the hands of someone that can put your resume in the hands of the HR department, who can then call you in for an interview, that's a way to go around the applicant tracking system. But if you don't have that linkage, then you should not apply for that position. And also, everyone knows, or probably everyone has heard of the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So true. And that is why LinkedIn is so prevalent today. LinkedIn has the largest amount of job recruiters in the world. So therefore, you want to go on there and network with, guess what? The hiring manager of the position that you're interested in, or someone that works for the hiring manager. All of that is at your disposal today. You can actually find out in many cases who the hiring manager is. And even if you don't contact them on LinkedIn, you could probably go in, view their profile, especially if you have a paid account in LinkedIn. You can view their profile and get a little bit of engagement about what their personality is like. You can probably reach out to someone in the company that will give you information and let you know, well, you don't really want that position, or you do really want the position, but you're going to network with them. You're not just going to go say, hey, should I be putting in for a job here? Is this a nice company to work for? You're not going to go and grill them. You're actually going to go in with the purpose of seriously building a relationship, and possibly that relationship can culminate into you being maybe even what do you call it? Yeah, maybe they can even put in a good word for you. So that's the best thing. So the target position, you want to identify that in the resume. So, and going back to the resume, the target areas, you want to look at the resume, look at the job posting, and look at the required and desired skills. And if I'm looking off to the side, it's because I'm looking at my notes. You want to look really hard at the required and desired skills. Identify which you have. Do you have those skills that you can list them in some form in your resume, or do you have those skills where you can identify them with some of the actual positions that you've held? So you want to be able to match them and then match them up to where they need to be in the resume. And then you want to go about the business of modifying the resume to fit the job posting. So with education, education is a little tricky. If you have education that directly matches the position, then you will add that at the top of your resume. But if you also have a resume that does not match, you do not have to put that at the top. You should put that further down in the resume in another section called additional education. Now, if your resume has the font or any of your career documents have the font Times Roman, change it right away. If you have an objective statement on your resume, remove it. Objective statements no longer go on resumes. And if you have the wording references available upon request, definitely delete that from your resume. That shows your resume is outdated. Okay, so moving right along and identifying what is your brand. What is your brand for the resume? So that would be those pointers are the ones that I want to speak to mainly. No. Actually, there's another part that I need to bring out. And that would be when you're writing the actual bullets for each job that you've held. Most people put bullets of job duties and responsibilities, and that is not what an employer would like to see. What the employer really wants to see is accomplishment statements. So you must get in the habit of writing an accomplishment statement. What is an accomplishment statement? You talk about the situation, action, results. You write your bullets in situations, actions, results. Those will equate to accomplishment statements. What's the situation? What was your action? And as a result of your action, what was the outcome or the results? And make sure you put some quantitative numbers behind it. Maybe how you developed a new process, how you saved the company money, how you made the company money. Let's see, how long did you do something? And I'm looking off to the side because I have notes over there as well. So you want to really think about your accomplishment statements, and you want to think about them from each and every job. What were those accomplishments? And if you drill down and pull the accomplishment statements out in your bullets, guess what? The beauty is that if you do it right, and it's going to take a minute to do for the first several times, but if you do it right, guess what? Your resume may get pulled for an interview, and then when you go on that interview, you could use those accomplishment statements to respond to an interviewer's questions. The interviewer asks you a question. You can simply say, well, the situation was ABC. My actions were C, D, E, and as a result of my actions, the outcome was, or the result was XYZ, and then you throw a number behind it. So that's something that you definitely want to pay attention to when you're constructing your resume properly. And remember, you're writing your resume for several people and things. Number one, you're writing your resume for the applicant tracking system. So you're writing the resume first for a non-human. Okay, so therefore that's why you got to match it, because the non-human is going to be looking to make that match. Then you're writing your resume for the hiring manager. They need to be able to see you in their position right up front, the very top of your first page of your resume. They need to see that you are a candidate right from the door. They're only going to see your resume about 6 seconds. And the same thing goes for a recruiter. So you're writing for the applicant tracking system, you're writing for the hiring manager, and you're writing for a recruiter. So therefore, you have to entertain all three when you're writing that resume. If you really want that job, this is what you'll do. You'll put in the work. Is it work? Yes. Is it tedious work to modify each and every resume for each and every position that you apply to? Yes. It's not easy, but once you do it repetitively over and over and over again, you start asking yourself questions. You get in the habit of asking yourself questions. How am I a match to this position? And then you look at excuse me, how am I a match for this job that I'm going to apply to? Am I a match in the job that I hold right now? Am I a match in my prior jobs? And you're going to start asking yourself hard questions when you construct your resume. So therefore, when you do get that interview, you'll be ready. You'll be ready because you will have talked through what it is you need. Now, putting the computer skills on your resume. Please don't just put Microsoft Office. Please do not put Microsoft Office and leave it at that. You have to identify each system that you have knowledge of on the resume. So if you put Microsoft Office and the applicant tracking system is looking for you to have Microsoft Word experience, it's not going to pull Word. It's not going to pull PowerPoint if it wants you to have PowerPoint. Let's say you have PowerPoint experience, but if you just write Microsoft Office, PowerPoint will not get picked up. So you can write Microsoft Office, but then you want to identify each and every system in Microsoft that you have experience in. So you could write Microsoft Office, and then you could type out PowerPoint, Excel, Access, Outlook, whatever it is. You want to identify them individually. And then if you have some associations and affiliations, don't just put those on your resume either if you did not hold a role. If you were a member of an organization, that's not even worth putting on your resume, to be honest with you. It's not worth putting on it. But what is worth it is if you held a role within that organization. I worked at Verizon for a number of years, and I belonged to the organization called CITE, CITE, Consortium of Information and Telecommunication Executives. And my role in CITE was, for a number of years, I was the parliamentarian for the organization. So I held a role. So if you don't hold a role within the organization, or if you did not hold a role in the organization, it really isn't worth mentioning on the resume, other than if you want to put it, but it will not get any accolades by doing so. But if you held a role, president, vice president, secretary, parliamentarian, that is definitely worth putting on the resume. And with that said, when you're at a company, always join something that you can add to your resume that will add some value to your resume. Don't just go to work the day in and day out. Yes, you can do that, but volunteer for a role. You will learn a lot. As the parliamentarian, I learned a lot when I was the parliamentarian at CITE, and I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of great people. I networked with some great people, but I had a role. I had the role of parliamentarian, and I had that role, I think probably about 3 or 4 years, at least 3 years, and I learned a lot, and met a lot of people. So if you're going to be a part of an organization, don't just be a member. If you're going to just be a member, then it's not worth putting on your resume. And that's my point about that. So we're still talking about branding. So briefly, I'll go into the cover letter, because your resume, if you're in a job search, I'll say it again, if you're in a serious job search, you need a resume, cover letter, thank you letter, and reference sheet, and that all should encompass your brand of job search, your brand. So therefore, your resume should mirror your cover letter should mirror your thank you letter, and your thank you letter should mirror your reference sheet as well. So on the cover letter, just briefly going over the cover letter, you have the same information. You have your contact information, city, state, zip, the word voice instead of cell, and you have your LinkedIn profile link. Then you have still, you will definitely put the target. So you will essentially use the target that you used on your resume onto your cover letter, the target position that you're applying to. So you will not need the cover letter for every position, but if a position asks for a cover letter, make sure it's branded with the resume, meaning that if they look at your resume and they look at your cover letter, the two will mirror one another. They will form your job search brand. Your job search brand. So with the cover letter, I won't go into too much detail other than to say that it's a good idea to find out something personable about the company that you can actually put at the top of the cover letter. So you might want to go to the company's website that you're about to apply for their position, and you're going to maybe put their tagline or logo so they will know that you are linked into the company, that you are fully aware that you have been to their website. It's a little bit different, so it's a little added touch. So you can put that somewhere near the top of your resume, near the top of your cover letter, or you can put it somewhere near the bottom so they'll know you're engaged. And then you also have your beginning sentence, and you identify with the position that's being hired, what the title of the role is in your beginning paragraph. And then I like to put two sets of bullets. One is the qualifications that someone needs for the position that you're applying to, and some bullets to show how you are matched to that position. So where do you get that? You get that directly from the job posting. The job posting, because you're relating the cover letter to the job posting as well. And then you're going to put down 3 or 4 bullets of what you have to match what you put for the job posting. So that's a little bit added touch. It shows that you did a little bit of attention to detail, that you paid attention to what is in the job posting. And then you can close out the cover letter. Now, something I like to do, I don't always do this, and it depends, but sometimes at the very bottom of the page, I will put a quote, a really nice quote, maybe a quote that pertains to employment, some type of really positive quote at the bottom of the page. So what that will do is, let's say that you picked out a really great post, a really great quote. And what if that just happened to be that hiring manager or recruiter's favorite quote? You will have a way to relate to them. Now that's the cover letter. So on to the thank you letter. Thank you letter. And I don't want to say just the thank you letter. This is after you've gone on the interview. Hopefully you've gone on an interview. After you've constructed your resume, cover letter, thank you letter, and reference sheet. But with the thank you letter, this is something totally different. But let's say you went on that interview, and with the cover letter, you're going to email, more than likely, get the whoever interviewed you, get their email addresses, and you're going to send them an email thanking them for the interview. But you're going to take it one step further, and you're going to have some blank note cards at home, and you're going to also write a personal, private thank you, and you're going to put it in the regular mail and mail it to that person. So therefore, that's a way to get yourself positively seen in front of the interviewer or interviewers. Again, by doing something like that, it sets you apart from everyone else. So the goal of any of your career service documents is so that you look different from everyone else. If your resume look like everyone else's, your cover letter look like everyone else's, then you will not stand out. My goal is always to help my clients and people who attend my workshops, help them to stand out in a unique way. And that is why I don't just write resumes, I design them. I'm a writer and I'm a designer. I'm very creative, very creative. So And let's see, and you're going to do the cover letter similar to the thank you letter similar to the cover letter, in that you're going to mention the qualifications that they are seeking from the job posting, and you're going to also identify what you have that relates directly to it. So it's almost a copy paste from your thank you letter to show that that mirrors the cover letter as well. And then that little quote at the bottom, you're going to add that same little quote at the bottom just to be a little different and stand out. Now, the last part is the reference sheet. The reference sheet. Don't forget about the reference sheet. Please, 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 please do not put your references at the bottom of your resume. They do not go at the bottom of your resume. Don't do that. Okay, there is only one instance that I can think of where you would actually put your references on your resume, and that is if you're applying to a position and it's an internal position where you already work, so that the references that you would use would be known to people in the company. That is the only instance that I can think of why you would put your references directly on your resume, but for the most part, it's best to have a separate reference sheet, And guess what? That reference sheet should mirror the resume, the cover letter, and the thank you letter. They should all look like twins, except for the information that goes along with each item. The reference sheet should have the contact information for the person, not their address, but their email, their telephone number, their contact, maybe their job title. It can have the job title, and it can also, if you like, from your references, because you're going to be talking to your references, you're going to be telling your references that you're applying to jobs, you're going to be telling your references that you're using them as a reference, and every single time that you apply to a job, you're going to let them know what job you applied for, and you're going to let them know by the name of the title of the position. So if they do get a call, they will be able to talk intelligently on your behalf. You don't have to call them every single time, but if it's a close enough reference, you can certainly send them a text and say, hey, I just applied for XYZ and they wanted my references, so I used you as a reference. Or I'm going to use you as a reference for the XYZ title of the position, and then you let them know, let them be aware. Don't say to them a year ago that you're applying to a particular position, and then 6 months from that time you apply and don't let them know, and then they're left in the dark. So you don't want to do that. So that's just a briefing on resumes, resume, cover letter, thank you letter, and reference sheets, and how they should mirror one another, how you should begin to establish your brand, how your brand should match the brand of every single position that you apply to. You must modify each and every resume for each and every position that you apply to. You have to make sure that each one becomes a brand for you, Otherwise, if you are not modifying your resume and at least seeing yourself and identifying yourself as an 80% match of the position, you're wasting your time. And the chances of you securing an interview, because the goal of a resume is only to secure you a interview. It's not to get you a job, just to get the interview. If you're not doing that, then the chances are you're wasting your time, and you won't never get a call back. Now, how can you bypass all of that? The best way to bypass all of that is to work with someone in the career industry, someone such as myself, or someone who may be a career coach, someone who is a resume writer, such as myself. I just happen to be a little bit of both. So when I work with my clients and also for people that attend my events, they will see that I not only do the resume with you, not for you, with you. I also train you in the process of the construction of your resume so that you will know at the end of our relationship together and your resume project is about to end. You will know what I know because I've recorded each one of those conversations and I've shared each and one of them with you so that if you need to go back to it, you can go back to it at a later time and listen to the replay. Listen to the replay. So that is all I want to go into tonight. I have other topics that I'm going to go into. Oh, let me just say this before I go. Proofreading. Oh my God, proofreading. Make sure that you proofread all of your career services documents, resume, cover letter, thank you letter, and reference sheet. Proofread them all. Okay. Now, because you've written them with me, or you have, someone else review them, because we become numb to the resume or career documents after we've read them over and over and over and over, making sure that they're exact. We become numb and we could miss certain things. So therefore, you want to make sure that someone else reviews your resume, and not just one person, maybe two or three. If you're in college or recently finished college, have a professor do it. Have someone that really is good at proofreading. Like I have a cousin, she's excellent at proofreading, so I would let her proofread anything any time of the week because she's very detail oriented like that. I'm also looking into working with this woman. I actually contacted her recently to see if she would like to work with me in the proofreading capacity because it is key. She would be one of the last people to view the resume, so therefore she'll be viewing it with clean eyes and clean hands. So therefore, proofread, proofread, proofread. So I just talked about the resume, cover letter, thank you letter, and reference sheet. And I did mention that if you're in an active job search that you should be linked in social media and on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll go into those social medias at another time. I will say this, that again, if you're in that serious job search, you need to, if you're going to apply to a position, you need to be in social media where that company is in social media, so you can go to their page, their web page, and see where they are in social media, and then you want to link to them where they are, because sometimes a company will get word of a new position, and before they add that position to their website, if they're on Twitter, which they probably are, Twitter is free. They can possibly tweet that open position before they put it in careerbuilder.com. And if you're linked to them on Twitter, you might get that tweet and you're able to apply before it is cascaded through to the masses. And that's all I got to say about that. So this is Tracy with the Resume Workshop. I am a professional resume writer, career branding strategist, and an accomplishment coach. I am the owner and founder of the Resume Workshop, where I help brand market you for your next job opportunity. My website is www.theresumeworkshop.com. In social media, my handle is at Resume Workshop. So join me. On Pinterest, unfortunately, I'm at Resume Workshops. Resume Workshop. So again, www.theresumeworkshop.com. And my email address is info, theresumeworkshop.com. Thank you for your time, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.